At Wind River Resort and Casino, we like to celebrate life's little moments. Oh, and the big ones too, because around here, when you're completely in the moment, that's when the magic happens. Come in and find your moment at Wind River Resort and Casino.
Well, happy Monday morning to you. I'm TP Neurologist Mike Krueger, Weather NorCal. You are watching Coffee with Krueger every weekday morning at 6:30. And we are starting with the radar because, yes, it was a little wet out there last night for some of us and still a little wet out there this morning. Now, the main storm system that impacted us yesterday, that's out of here, but we're between systems right now. Still a lot of cool and unstable air in place, and that's keeping things a little wet out there for many of us in the valley in particular. We take a look at some of the cameras out there, looking at Caltrans camera. This is out at Main Street, Chico. Yeah, I mean, still looking at some showers out there. Roads are still a little wet, so you may want to give yourself a little bit of extra time, maybe heading out to work this morning and getting those kids off to school. You can see Highway 99 at Neal Road. You can see the raindrops on the lens there on the camera. We also take you out to Crescent City out along the coast here. Doesn't look too wet out there. It looks like a little bit of a breeze. In fact, the winds will be picking up here for the coast here as we go through the morning hours. Take a look at those current temperatures out there right now. And with those winds blowing on the coast, still pretty mild. 49 degrees for Crescent City, 45 in Eureka. We've got temperatures upper 40s for places like Redding, Red Bluff, Chico, about 46 degrees. How about those mountain locations? We're, of course, looking at those temperatures in the 30s. Actually, not too terribly cold out there. Looks like looking at temperatures just above freezing. Mount Shasta City about 33, as well as Alturas 36 in Susanville. Quincy sitting at about 34. And you can see Oroville about 50 degrees at the current hour. Take a look at some of these pictures. This was sent on Friday from a CHP officer. And this is a photo west of Big Valley Summit, looking with Mount Shasta off in the distance. And if you look kind of there too, I'm not exactly sure what location that it'd be. You kind of look, there's a little bit of a hill or summit that they're on, and you can kind of see you're looking down into the big valley there. So just a beautiful shot there. Of course, that was on Friday. Well, of course, remember Friday was clear out there. But this is actually yesterday out at Manzanita Lake from courtesy of Casey Kerrigan. And of course, looking at all the snow and the overcast skies that we did see out there yesterday. And this was my son Aiden and I should have checked my teeth first before taking that image. Something in my teeth for my breakfast that morning, I guess. But, you know, it was really a great day out there skiing at the Shasta Ski Park on Saturday because we started off with some pretty heavy snow flurries. So we got the first hour, 2 hours of skiing on fresh powder. It was amazing. It was awesome. And of course, I had a really great time because then, of course, the snow stopped and we just had some beautiful weather. Kind of clouds parted, then the clouds came back in. Wasn't too windy. A little windy at times at some of the higher peaks there, but wasn't that bad day of a skiing. And had a beautiful time, a wonderful time with my son. Got to see him for the first time skiing or snowboarding, that is, since last year. It's amazing to see the progress he's made since he joined the Alpine ski team, ski and snowboard team for Shasta High School. Of course, that season's pretty much over at this point, but man, it was so awesome to see how much he's grown and developed and become a great snowboarder. I can't keep up with him anymore. He's going too fast. I can't handle it. All right, if you want to send in your photos, of course, you can share those photos from the free Weather NorCal app, from your iPhone, your Android. But you got to make sure you've got that app first before you can share those photos. And if you do, well, if you share those photos, there's a very good chance I may share them, especially here this morning, and on the mornings, that is, on Coffee with Krueger. But sometimes you may see them during my regular video updates as well. So be sure to be on the lookout for that. Taking a look at some of the visibility out there, it's a little low, especially out in Trinity County, as we typically see. Maybe a little wet out there as well. Looks like got a little snow in Shingletown. Need an extra cup of coffee this morning. I think a lot of people will. They lost that extra hour of sleep yesterday, but boy, you wake up Monday morning, you can feel that as well. Good morning from Durham. We got about close to a half an inch of rain, which is good for Durham. Can we expect a bit more rain? I think so, Stephen. I think you'll see a little bit more shower, kind of drizzly this morning, not very heavy. The heavier rainfall with the next storm system will be here later today, probably closer to the evening hours down towards you and Durham, but kind of picking up through the afternoon into this evening with that rain. Of course, we'll take a closer look at the radar, and of course, not to mention Futurecast coming up a little bit later here. Take a look at the wind alerts. We actually do have a wind advisory from 3 o'clock this evening until 11 p.m. for Del Norte and Humboldt counties as the main storm system does pass. That's going to give us some gusty winds there, up to 50 miles per hour. Now, those gusty winds will most likely, the strongest winds will most likely be in the exposed higher mountain passes and ridges, but probably not as bad as you start heading to the lower elevations, but still gusty winds are in the forecast nonetheless. So you can see right now the wind's not that bad, even along the coast, a little over 10 miles per hour in Crescent City, but mainly below 10 miles per hour across the board. But when we take a look at the winds here as we go through the day today, let's take you into about the noon hour. They're beginning to pick up from the south-southwest, especially out towards Del Norte County. And then as we go into this evening, you can see over 30 mile an hour sustained winds. Of course, that's not taking into account the gusts that we'll see. You'll notice east of that, not that bad, although Big Valley in central Siskiyou County, looking at some gusty winds there. That's pretty typical. Then they start to kind of die down midnight tonight. It looks like Tuesday, the winds are picking up on the eastern mountains by noon, but otherwise not that bad elsewhere. We'll begin to see the winds pick up on Wednesday in advance of the, I don't want to say storm, but we're going to be looking at those winds really picking up. And we're going to explain why we expect gusty winds, especially on Thursday, because we do have a big ridge of high pressure building to our west, low pressure to our south. And again, we'll go into that more detail. Winter weather advisory, the areas in purple. This is until Tuesday evening. So I do expect to see a little bit more snow out there, but mainly above 4,000 feet. There's a look at your chain requirements here this morning, mainly east of I-5. This is typical, when we don't have a very big storm system coming through. We got snow levels mainly above 4,000 feet. This is where we typically see most of the chain requirements, because east of I-5 is where we have those higher mountain passes. Now, west of I-5 on 36, there are chain requirements there in southwestern Trinity County on Highway 36. So just be aware of that if you have to be on the mountain highways. This time on Friday, we were looking at these cameras and we were seeing daylight, but we are starting, the daylight a little bit later in the day, but we're getting the daylight later in the day, in the evening. There you can see the wet roads in Dunsmuir, I-5 near Mount Shasta. Looks like maybe a little bit of a mix there, but most likely it's just in the form of rain at Mount Shasta City. Like I said, maybe a little bit of a mix. Snowman Hill, though, I think that's going to be in the form of snow. No chain requirements in Snowman Hill, by the way, but as you start heading kind of closer to the Four Corners region, where 89 intersects with Highway 299, that's where you start seeing the potential for some snow. There you can see Grass Lake. This is Highway 97. No chain requirements in Highway 97. So just kind of a quick look at some of your roads here, looking across the region. Highway 199 in northern Del Norte County. There you can see a lot of that snow on the side of the road is beginning to melt as well. There's Oregon Mountain. Looks a little misty and a little foggy out there as well. There's at the base of Buckhorn Summit at 2,600 feet. There's Berry Summit. Overcast skies. Doesn't look too terribly wet over there. We take you out to Highway 299 East, Hatchet Mountain. It looks like there are some chain requirements there. It has still been snowing a little bit off and on this morning. There you can see that's at Four Corners I was talking about, 299 and 89 intersection. So you start heading north on Highway 89 there. You're going to start seeing most likely a little bit of snow on the pass there. There's Cedar Pass. Looks like not too bad there, but about 6,000 feet. We take you out to Highway 44, Shingletown. A little misty, a little foggy, a little wet on the road. There's Lassen Park at the north entrance, 5,700 feet. Looks like Bogart Ranger Station still has a little bit of snow up there as well. And there you can see Highway 36 and 89 intersection near Chester. Looks wet, but not necessarily snowy. Johnson Grade and Fredonia Summit are looking okay, although Fredonia Summit looks a little icy there. Highway 36 and 44 there, that's the intersection there on Highway 36 mainly is what we're looking at here. East Riverside, southeast Susanville. Looks like the roads are dry there. How about that rainfall totals, that is, the last 24 hours? On average, about 1/2 of an inch for most of it's in the valley. Not as much, though, to the south in Oroville. And you can see there were some decent amounts. Crescent City over an inch there, a little over an inch in Redway. Eureka, just in town there, just over 3/4 of an inch, and out in Trinidad, about 82/100ths of an inch of rainfall. All right, so how we're doing for the season? Well, I want to show you these the next few days because we're going to see less and less rain in the days to come. So you can see here, we're still a little above average for the season for Redding at the airport. My guess is, though, that late this week, this will be below 100% because we're going to see less and less rain. We got more rain coming in tonight, which will help. But there you can see out in Red Bluff, 97% for the season. We're going to continue to watch that percentage drop later on this week. Eureka, 129% of the season, doing better than we were at this time last year. And not to mention out in Crescent City, almost 150% of average for this season. Last year, about 89%. Looking at Mount Shasta, and there you can see 122, about where we were this time last year. So we've got a good reserve there. But Montague doing better than last season, but still below 100%. There you can see Alturas, 114%, pretty close to where we were last year at this time. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at our planners for today. A little foggy, a little misty out there this morning in Trinity County. Otherwise, showers throughout the day today. Snow levels around 4,000 feet. Your North Coast planner, looking at those showers eventually kicking in later this morning as the main cold front pushes on through. Those winds will pick up later this afternoon. There you can see Siskiyou County starting off a little on the dry side, but later this around midday, we start to see those rain and a bit of a mix at around 3,500, 4,000 feet. And then, of course, more significant snow above 4,000 feet. About Modoc County, mainly dry overcast skies this morning. And then by the late afternoon, early evening is when we start to see some of those showers kick in. Eastern Mountains, again, dry for a good portion of the, at least first half of the day. Then those chances start to increase here as we go through the afternoon. How about the Valley? Well, we are seeing some of the mist, some drizzle out there this morning. And quite honestly, I think what we're seeing here, we should be looking at mainly overcast skies, especially for the north end of the valley this morning, and even in Chico. But we may actually see some clearing to the south end of the valley around Chico as we get into the noon hour. But again, the main storm system is approaching. We're between storm systems right now. And that's why we're not really seeing a ton of rain right now for most of us. But that is going to change here later today and into tonight. Again, timing of all this just depends on where you are, which we'll take a look at Futurecast coming up in just a little bit. Let's see what everybody is up to this morning. Looks like Lisa Stevens saying happy Monday after the hour of time steal. Yes, it has been an hour of time steal. Felt it. It was just one of those things, you're out and about on Sunday and you're just kind of out and about. You're like, it's already 4 o'clock in the afternoon. This is crazy. No. So, yeah, that's no fun. I think we voted on it, a decade ago? No, it wasn't that long ago. But it was passed. But there's so many hoops and obstacles you got to jump through in order for it to really kind of come into play. So hopefully one day we're not going to have to set our clocks forward or back anymore. I know a lot of people aren't a big fan of that. And we voted on it. And we said, no, let's stop. I know Arizona, I think, doesn't do it anymore. I don't know. It's just it's a pain. Good morning from Durham. Of course, we talked about that. Little snow in Shingletown. All right. 3,600 foot elevation. Casey, your daily report. 4,100ths of an inch of rain the last 24 hours. Trace of snow out in Shingletown. Very cool. Good morning from Dean, 45 degrees and rain in Palisadro. We need sunshine. Oh, you say that now and you're going to get it. Mother Nature is going to deliver later this week. We'll take a closer look at that in your deep dive forecast here in a bit. Curtis Brown, Monday morning, Mike. Good morning to you from 7 miles west of Red Bluff. No measurable rain on Saturday. Sunday rain started around 17:30 hours. So what, 2:30 in the afternoon? No. 5:30 in the afternoon. I haven't measured that yet. Good morning from Orland. Good morning, Julie. How about good morning from Redding? Good morning. It's dark outside, I know. This time it was a Friday. It was light out. It was awesome. Not anymore. But on the flip side, it's staying lighter later in the day. So that's nice. It's a give and take, right? It's give and take. Eventually, we're just going to see more and more daylight in this time. it'll be light out. It'll be nice. Good morning from Weaverville. Not a bad start to the Monday, just a little rainy. Yeah, I think, what you're dealing over there is kind of a misty fog, a little light rain in some areas here. So you'll be dealing with that here this morning. Didn't get anything from the last storm. Not sure where you are, Shyla, but yeah, maybe. I'm not sure. Maybe in the Eastern Mountains somewhere. Cold Lakeview. There you go. All right, folks. So you know what today is. Today is Monday, and that means we pull out a special segment we like to call Turtle Bay Wonderful World of Animals. And before we get to that, Turtle Bay Wonderful World of Animals is, of course, sponsored by Cottonwood Veterinary and Small Animal Clinic. They, of course, have been sponsoring this for quite some time. And, of course, other segments that they sponsor is Pet of the Week. It's basically the animal family segment that they sponsor. We also we've recorded 3 segments with them over there at Cottonwood Vet Clinic, kind of giving you some tips on pet ownership. And hopefully soon we record a few segments here from their large animal clinic, and you'll kind of get some tips there as well. Maybe horses. I'm not exactly sure which ones we're going to do, but looking forward to adding to the library of the Vet Education Corner. Looking forward to that. So be sure to check that out on Animal Family. But without further delay, let's take a look at your Turtle Bay Wonderful World of Animals, that is, sponsored by Cottonwood Vet and Small Animal Clinic. Hello everyone, Mike Krueger from Weather NorCal. This is Turtle Bay Wonderful World of Animals, Sharon Clay from Turtle Bay, and Loki. So we were talking a little bit earlier, and yes. Loki, beautiful animal. I mean, I think always probably, but this is the winter coat that we're looking at, right?
Yeah, and you're actually looking at a winter coat that's just starting to shed out. Mm-hmm. So he's just starting to get a little thinner. He's in his biggest red fox, like the quintessential red fox coat in December and January. And now he's just starting to lose it a little bit right now, and he will lose it like completely. And underneath that is a skinny little greyhound, basically. Yeah. And when he's losing it, he blows the fur in patches. So he's going to start looking sickly, basically. Yes. The lovely, gorgeous red fox is going to look sickly. Oh. We always say he looks like a coyote with mange. And then the guests wonder what's wrong with him. And it is completely normal. It's the way they shed their coat.
And then they go into like this smaller, like shorter hair eventually, right?
Exactly. For the summer. So, the red fox is the most adaptable of all the foxes. Actually, probably the most adaptable of all the dog species. And so they're the most widespread mammalian carnivore on the planet. The British brought them with them everywhere. So they are extremely adaptable and very opportunistic. So by being adaptable, they need to be living up in Alaska. They're found up in the cold areas of Asia, right? But then they're also found down here in the heat. So they adapt. They keep a much thicker coat up in Alaska. I've seen Alaskan ones. They still shed, but they don't get as small a coat. He gets a really, really short summer coat because he lives in 115 degree weather here in Redding. So
115, my goodness. Yes. Yeah.
So they are very, very adaptable and can live in all different climates and all different habitats. Very amazingly successful animal.
How cool is that? So you would think, like, what if you were to take like a red fox and then maybe go down to the Bahamas? I mean, do you think they would just have the short coat the entire time?
I don't know. I think
you a question you may not have had to.
I don't have an answer, but I would say that their winter coat will not get as thick as it gets because his winter coat doesn't get nearly as thick as, again, I have friends that work at facilities in Alaska, and their foxes are much thicker coat than his is.
Okay.
So I would guess that I would say yes to that.
Okay.
So, but I don't
That's your
know,
educated
so don't
guess.
Quote me, but that would be my educated guess.
Well, Adrian there behind the camera is saying yes.
Oh, if Adrian agrees with me, you know it's right.
All right.
There you go.
Good. All right. So
she is my brain,
All right. Yes.
That's right.
It's good to have another brain. It's good to have your brain and another brain.
Yeah. Between the two of us, we do have a brain.
Okay.
We're doing good. All right. So anyway, back to foxes. So these guys are so opportunistic that these are the ones when you say there's a fox in the hen house. You know that expression, fox in the hen house. That's the red fox. fox. They will get chickens, they'll get everything. And the native fox, the gray fox, which also lives in here with Loki, Artemis, they're our native fox, and they're specialists, and they're considered the farmer's friend. So these guys are kind of the menace. That's his name, Loki, the Norse god of mischief. Loki.
Oh, mischief.
That's what he was named after, by the way.
Oh, man.
Not the Avengers. He was named after the Norse god of mischief. And so, but that's why he has that name.
That's very cool. All right, well, Sharon, I appreciate that. There was a lot of great information here. We learn so much here every time with these great segments here. So, Loki, it was so great. I'm so glad you're comfortable with me, and you'll take food from me. That's so nice. I like making new friends over here.
You can give him a goodbye high five. Hold your left hand up for him. Oh, he can't reach. Go on. Good job, buddy.
Yay. See, I made it even bigger, friend. That's awesome. Well, thank you, Sharon. Thank you, Loki. And we will see you next time for another Turtle Bay Wonderful World of Animals. Always fun, isn't it? I love doing that segment here. I don't know if you noticed this or not. I was just noticing this right now when I was watching that clip. When I was giving Loki the high five, Sharon was already anticipating that Loki needed a place to land after doing the high five. So she put her knee up, her leg up, so Loki would have a place to land after doing that high five. I mean, she is so in tune. It amazes me how in tune she is with those animals. I mean, she's like the animal whisperer, if you will. Always interesting to do those segments with her. By the way, Shyla, thank you for letting me know where you are. So you didn't get anything with the last storm in Chester, which makes sense because the storm was expected to kind of fizzle out a bit as it moved off to the east here. Got some snow in Chester. I don't know who, both of you live in Chester. One is saying you got nothing. Then the other is saying you got something. All right. As I was just saying, okay. Probably. But I don't think there are any chain requirements over there. Let's check the chain requirements. Let's see what's going on over there. Let's take a look. So on Highway 36, east of I-5, if you look around the Chester area, there are no chain requirements, but there are chain requirements closer to Susanville. Looks like more like for down your summit there. And of course on Highway 44, 299 east. These are, going over some of those higher mountain passes where you're kind of seeing that. So interesting. Let's take a look at the camera, by the way. This is north of Trinidad in Elk Country. Beautiful. Looks like the sun's trying to come out a little bit here, or at least the sunlight, the daylight, but still quite dark out there. Interesting. Yeah, we got a dusting, but not much. Okay, well, I mean, that makes the most sense. It probably just depends on where you are in town, right? Lori's saying, Shyla's saying, no, I got nothing. And Lori's saying, hey, we got a little dusting. So, yeah, I guess it just depends on where you are. Good morning to you, Nick Woods. Good morning to everyone. Cool this morning in El Turris. I'm sure it's quite chilly there, indeed. All right, well, you know what? Let's get to our main forecast, shall we? Let's get to our deep dive forecast. But of course, before we do that, we got to, of course, mention our sponsor at Wind River Resort and Casino. Enjoy friendly service, a wide variety of specials and promotions, plus all of your favorite slots and table games. All right, folks, let's go ahead and get to that forecast. Now we're going to start off with the radar here. And what you're seeing here are, of course, some showers. And these showers mainly have been this morning, and they haven't been terribly heavy. Most of it was last night, and we're kind of getting that southerly flow. So Chico actually still seeing some showers, wet roads there. Really wet roads and kind of misty and drizzly for most of the valley so far this morning. Quite honestly, I think we're going to have a harder time clearing out, especially to the north. We may eventually see some of this drizzle and shower activity kind of break apart later this morning into the noon hour, with the potential for some breaks in the clouds, especially to the south and east. As you start heading around Red Bluff, Anderson, Redding, it may be a little bit more hard-pressed for us to clear things out. It'll probably turn over to more kind of some drizzly light showers through the morning hours. But the main storm system, the last one for a while, is still out over the ocean. And that's what's eventually going to bring us some of that rainfall. So right now you can see the mild temperatures out there in the valley in the mid to upper 40s, 33 for Bernie as well as El Turris, 36 out in Susanville. And there you can see mid to upper 40s out along the coast here. 38 for Redway, 35 out in Weaverville and Mount Shasta City, about 33 degrees. So our headlines, cool and unsettled through tomorrow. That's today, that's tomorrow. We've got rain and wind as the main cold front pushes through, which, again, depending on where you are, it will depend on the timing. Probably later this afternoon and evening for the coast. Later tonight is when the main storm passes through for the valley, and then late tonight for the eastern mountains. And then behind it is cool and unstable air through tomorrow, with snow levels between 3,500, 4,000 feet on average here today through tomorrow. And then we're not talking snow levels anymore after that. Now we'll get our first taste of spring later this week. And now this is something I've been talking about since last week. And boy, of course, it's pretty much inevitable it's going to happen. We've got a big ridge of high pressure building in, but not yet, right? So you can see a big area of low pressure right here. That main low pressure system is going to kind of push to our north, but I mean, still plenty of energy coming down from there. And that's what's going to bring us the rain and not to mention high elevation snow. So you can see a nice little stream of moisture. It's tapping into some of that subtropical moisture here. And that's moving to the east. But you think about what's happened here. We saw the system kind of pass through yesterday. There you can see right here, that's pushing eastward. So we're between systems right now. We're just beginning to see some of the clouds in advance of this storm system moving for the coast. But eventually, chances for showers will kind of pick up through the morning. Start off very light and then get heavier later this morning, and not to mention the afternoon hours, and not to mention even some gusty winds as it passes through. So this right here is you can see it's a very weak trough of low pressure. It's not a very strong storm system. There's the trough axis. So this is where we're seeing the most amount of instability. That instability here is what will be kind of pushing through today. And then that instability is now off to our east on Tuesday, at least the highest amount. But there still is some leftover cold and unstable air on Tuesday, giving us a continued chance for showers. And when we look at Futurecast, you'll see what I'm talking about, how the bulk of it is today and tonight. And then behind it is just some scattered showers. Then, if you look right here, this ridge of high pressure is what's building in here. Wednesday, now we're not really dealing with the rain anymore, but the winds begin to pick up here. Wednesday and Thursday, high pressure builds to our west, low pressure digs down to our south. The difference between the two will give us some gusty winds. We'll talk about that in a bit more detail here in a second. But highs, mainly, I'm still keeping the upper 70s. There could be a few spots that could touch that 80-degree mark here later this week and into the weekend. But for now, I'm keeping in the upper 70s, low to mid 60s mountains, and then for the coast in the mid to upper 60s for your daytime highs. Now that ridge, you can see kind of starts to weaken a little bit. It kind of stays off over us through the weekend, and then it starts to kind of dive down to the south. Maybe some cooler air coming down by the middle of next week. All right, not this week, but next week. So this may not even materialize. We'll see. This is kind of the first indication I've seen this morning of anything really kind of coming back to a cooler and wetter pattern. That being said, this system right here that you see is coming directly from the north. So typically what happens when it comes directly from Canada, there's not a lot of moisture for it to really tap into. So I don't anticipate this to really bring us much in the way of rain or snow. It'll just drop our temperatures down a bit. But that being said, looking at the long range, March 17th through the 21st, the Climate Prediction Center, as expected, would keep us in that above normal category. All right, let's take a look at Futurecast. Let's get you through the day today and, of course, the next few days. So what you'll see here, it's really not picking up on a lot of that rain and shower activity that we're seeing here this morning, but it's happening. We're seeing some of that drizzle. So let's take you to about the noon hour. So you see what's happening? Again, I still think it'll be overcast for Red Bluff, Redding, maybe even down to Corning, and drizzly light showers through the morning hours. But look at this. You see how we're starting to see a little bit of clearing out towards the south. Willows, Chico, Oroville. This is when I expect to maybe see some drier weather for the second half of the morning down to the south. Not so much for Redding and Red Bluff. Like I said, drizzle, maybe some light showers. All right, snow level is 3,500, 4,000 feet. But we're beginning to get the leading edge of this next storm coming in for the coast. So the coast seeing light showers, not to mention Trinity County, western Siskiyou County, but everywhere else to the east, you're looking at dry conditions. Now let's take you to about 2 p.m. this afternoon. Now you're seeing the moderate pockets of heavier rainfall on the coast, not to mention Trinity County. Light showers just beginning to develop, especially for the north end of the valley. But it's not going to be very heavy. It'll just kind of add to some of the mist and drizzle and light showers that we've seen through the morning. Still dry though to the east. There may be a little bit of light activity in Modoc County, but for the most part, still fairly dry, basically eastern mountains. And really even down to the south, southeast, around Chico, Oroville, and not to mention Willows. All right, now we're going to take you to about 4 p.m. Now we're just looking at the widespread light showers possibly for the valley at this point. Not a ton. It's not very heavy at this point. It may be a little bit heavier out to the north, out towards Redding, but still very light ahead to the south. And we're getting the leading edge of that now hitting the eastern mountains at 4 p.m. There you can see some light showers, snow, right? Then we head off to the coast. Yeah, we're seeing the heavier rainfall there. All right, but we're still looking at probably even some gusty winds there too. So now at this point, we're seeing almost everyone by 4 or 5 o'clock this afternoon, everyone seeing at least some form of precipitation, some lighter than others, some heavier than others, snow above 3,500, 4,000 feet. I don't anticipate any problems on I-5 as far as snow is concerned, or even Highway 299 should be okay there. Now we take you into 10 o'clock tonight. You see how it's not as widespread, not as heavy either. We're on the backside of the storm at this point. So we still have the snow. This is going to create more chain requirements over the higher mountain passes east of I-5. We've still got some drizzle, light showers for the valley, not to mention along the coast as well. So, but again, it's not as widespread. It's not as organized. Now we're taking you tomorrow morning, overcast, most likely drizzly, light showers even in the morning. And then, of course, some snow flurries in the higher elevations. But again, notice it's not very widespread at this point. And that's the case here through the day on Tuesday. We may see a stray thunderstorm in some areas, especially out towards Del Norte County. But overall, look at this. By 3 p.m., we're actually beginning to see some clearing in the valley. And, you know, you see some of these heavier pockets. So what's going to happen is, as we go through the afternoon, you'll see some light showers, maybe a brief period of some moderate rain pushing through with those winds kind of picking up a little bit. But you see how we're getting things kind of clearing out. The atmosphere is beginning to stabilize at this point. So now, as we go into 6 p.m., we actually may see some sunshine and some breaks in the clouds even along the coast. Still a little bit of activity here off in the eastern mountains, Modoc County, maybe a flurry or two, but really wrapping ourselves up with that rain and snow by Tuesday afternoon, evening. And then, of course, Wednesday, no more rain. Things are clearing out. We're in the transition day. It's still going to be warming up, but the warmest air really won't be here until we get into around Thursday, Friday, and into the weekend. Now, there is a wind advisory for Del Norte and Humboldt counties from 3 o'clock this afternoon until 11 o'clock tonight. This is when we expect some of the strongest winds, although the winds will be picking up here throughout the morning and afternoon. And I'll show you what I'm talking about. Let's take you into the afternoon. Here you can see those winds are really picking up. You know, these are sustained winds, 20, 30 miles an hour. Could see gusts upwards of 50 miles per hour, especially over those higher mountain ridges. Also, take note in central Siskiyou County, Shasta Valley. You're seeing some gusty winds there as well. That's pretty typical. But overall, the wind's not that strong elsewhere. I mean, they may be a little breezy at times, but not that bad. And there you can see some gusty winds in the eastern mountains by tomorrow morning, 4 a.m. All right, now I'm going to take you into about the Tuesday afternoon. And Tuesday, again, we're kind of transitioning before we start to see another setup for some stronger winds, especially coming in on Thursday. So as we take it through the day on Wednesday, what we're going to notice is the wind shifting more from the north. We're going to get more of a setup for those gusty winds coming in from the north. And we'll show you that here in just a second here, when and why we expect those winds to kind of shift more from the north and get a little gusty at times as well. But I do want to mention there is still a winter weather advisory for the areas in purple here until tomorrow evening. I'm not expecting a ton of snow. You have to go about 4,000 feet before you start seeing anything significant. We may see a bit of a mix out towards Mount Shasta, not to mention Etna, but accumulating snow, I don't think so. You know, and, you know, kind of a bit of a mix and maybe some light dustings of snow around Aden and Alturas. Maybe a light dusting towards Chester as well, not a ton there. And not to mention Susanville, Quincy. So you get the idea. It's not a lot of snow in the lower mountain communities. However, you start heading into the higher elevations, yeah, you're picking up a foot of snow. So yes, Mount Shasta Ski Park, I think you're going to be picking up more snow over the next few days. Maybe not quite a foot, but, you know, several inches, very good possibility. And there you can see there's that system. So let's kind of show you the setup. Here's the trough of low pressure. Remember what I was talking about, and this clearly shows that. So you see this little trough right here? you have that trough axis. I've talked about this many times before. There's the trough axis. Where's the most amount of instability? Maybe you remember if you watch me regularly. It's to the east of that trough axis. Why are we seeing all that rain? Because there's all the instability. There's a rising air. Okay, you have what's called divergence. The air kind of split and then it rises. All right. But on the west side of that, you have less in the way of that stability. There's still some instability, and that's why you're seeing some of those light showers. But this is where most of it is. So that kind of explains that. See, that pushes through, again, mainly today, tonight. Again, timing will depend on where you are. But still a little bit of leftover instability on Tuesday. We saw that on Futurecast. Then now we're going to be focusing more on the ridge of high pressure and area of low pressure to our south. So by Thursday, high pressure to our northwest, low pressure to our southeast. The difference between the two is creating, see these lines? They're called isobars. When they're tightly packed like that, you see the gusty winds. This is the upper level support. See the area around high pressure? There's the winds really coming down. It just funnels through very quickly. And that's going to give us the support for the windy conditions that we'll probably see late in the day, Wednesday, Thursday, and even Friday. But then we start to see the high pressure, low pressure kind of move away from each other. The winds aren't going to be as strong, but still looking at dry conditions. Now remember I was talking about we just don't expect to see a lot of moisture with not this Wednesday, but a week from Wednesday, because it's coming from Canada. You see, it's just not a lot of rain or snow for that matter coming in with that system. That's if this even materializes. I mean, we're going way out here, but I just want to kind of show you that the trend of the warmer air may not last forever. We may see another round of some cooler and wetter weather, but it's not a little blurry right now when we start kind of going out that far. But the Climate Prediction Center still has us March 17th through the 21st below normal. But of course, down to the southeast, we're looking at above normal rainfall. All right, so, I don't think we're going to see a ton of rain after today and tomorrow, but we still have a decent amount of rain in some spots here. I think about 1/4 to 1/2 inch in the valley, and I think about 1/2 to maybe even around 1 inch for parts along the coast. Now, we take a look at our wave heights. They're actually going to still be quite high. And as a result, there still is a small craft advisory out there, not only today, but most likely that'll extend on into tomorrow as well. So there's a marine forecast for today. South winds at 15 to 25 knots and rising throughout the day. Your high and low tide are right here. Sunrise, sunset, sunrise a little bit longer. But you'll notice these times are getting closer. That's because next week, early next week, is when we officially transition to spring. Hard to believe that, right? Winter's almost over. Whew, right? I don't know. It's kind of crazy, right? But it's small craft advisory as we go into this afternoon. All right, here's your Trinity County neighborhood forecast. And you're going to see the most amount of detail with that Trinity County forecast here on Coffee with Krueger. There you can see those temperatures are going to be in the upper 40s to low 50s. And of course, showers today, showers tomorrow, drying out by Wednesday. That's pretty much the story for everyone. All right, so there you can see temperatures low 40s as you head down to the southern portions of Trinity County. We take a look at our North Coast neighborhood forecast. We start with southern Humboldt County with 51 in Shelter Cove, 53 for Garberville, 48 for Honeydew, and Red Crest about 51. Take you up north, about 53 for Ferndale, 50 in Rio Dell. Temperatures low 50s for places like Fortuna and Hydesville. Take you up even more to the north with Trinidad about 53, 53 in Blue Lake, temperature about 52 out in Hoopa, and there's Willow Creek about 54. Winds from the south-southeast at 12 miles per hour, but they will be picking up. As we take you up north here, again, they're the stronger winds, especially along the coast. 52 degrees out in Crescent City, as well as Oric, and it looks like about 51 in Orleans. Now you'll notice there may be a chance for a few isolated thunderstorms here tomorrow out towards Del Norte County. All right, here's your Siskiyou County neighborhood forecast, and we're in western Siskiyou County right here. Highway 96, temperature should be in the mid to upper 40s to around 50. It looks like Montague about 48, Hornbrook about 49, and Gazelle about 47 degrees. We take you out to Scott Valley. Temperature is a little bit cooler there. Should be in the low to mid 40s for your daytime highs. Snow levels around 4,000 feet today and tomorrow. Siskiyou County, central and eastern Siskiyou County, there you can see about 39 degrees for Tennant, 43 for Tule Lake, McLeod about 40 degrees, Dunsmuir, you'll top out at about 43, and McDowell about 42 degrees. Let's take a look at your Modoc County neighborhood forecast with 43 degrees out in Newell, about 43 in Bidwell, Fort Bidwell, that is. 43 for Cedarville, 45 in Alturas and California Pines, about 44 degrees. Here's your Eastern Mountains neighborhood forecast. 44 degrees for Montgomery Creek, 43 in Bernie, 50 for Paynes Creek, Old Station, about 42 degrees. We take it to the south for Lake Almanor, Lassen Park. Temperatures there are going to be in the 40s, at least for Lake Almanor, but for Lassen Park, more like the 30s. And of course, you can see those 7-day forecasts there. Taking a look at your Eastern Mountains to the south, Paradise, 52 degrees. Mineral, about 43, 50 out in Doyle. And there is Portola, the high of about 43 degrees. And your Valley neighborhood forecast, temperatures around 60 for Orland, Durham, 59 for Chico, 58 for Red Bluff, and 56 degrees in Pasquinta. Let's take you up north with about 47 out towards Lakehead, 49 in Whiskeytown. And there's Palisadro with a high of about 55 degrees today. All right, here is your 7-day forecast for Redding. Of course, the showers today. Heavier rainfall coming in later this afternoon and evening, and not to mention tonight. Maybe some gusty winds at times. A few scattered showers on Tuesday, but not a ton of rain tomorrow. But there could be some pockets of some moderate to heavy rainfall at times on Tuesday. Notice the increase in the temperatures on Wednesday, but it's getting even warmer by the end of the week, and not to mention this weekend. I mean, look at that. On Saturday, Sunday, we've got upper 70s. I mean, could some of us touch 80 degrees? It's not out of the question. We'll see. As we get closer to the weekend, I would not be surprised if you start seeing some 80-degree readings in there for the weekend. But for now, and really even since last week, the long-range forecast models have really been kind of pushing towards closer to the upper 70s for those daytime highs. So kind of interesting here, but we'll see. We'll see what happens with that. All right, that's kind of wrapping up the show here. Let's see if there's anything else that's going on here. Of course, let's go tomato weather. All right, yeah, maybe. Some people always say that this first taste of spring usually is not a good idea to plant because you might get that last minute freeze. I'm not really necessarily seeing that, but you might want to hold off. You might want to, especially as we get to the weekend and you're starting to think about planting, you may want to check in that long-range forecast again and seeing what's kind of down the line here. Misty morning might be a good time to fertilize the lawns. That's right, Jake. Good time. I will admit, for those of you who live in my neighborhood, I apologize. I have a terrible looking lawn. I have not done a good job with it. I apologize. I hate to be that guy. It's hard. It's on a slope. It's just tough. It's been really hard to kind of keep that lawn looking okay, but it is what it is. Good morning. Overcast and coolish, 47 degrees at Lake Oroville. Let's talk this upcoming heat wave into existence. Existence? Okay. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's necessarily a heat wave. I mean, it's not going to be hot, but it'll certainly be a lot warmer than it has been. That certainly is nice. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you. Of course, I appreciate you, Dizzy, and of course, appreciate everybody who watches not only Coffee with Krueger, but just supports Weather NorCal in general. And of course, want to thank all of our sponsors too. We've got so many, and they're continuing to grow. All right, that is going to pretty much wrap it up. Let's do this. Let's get you going with a couple of cameras out there. Gosh, I have them always located in a convenient location, but apparently not convenient enough. So let's start with, can we see, is it light enough out for us to see anything? Yeah, there's a look at Lake Oroville. Check this out. We're looking at Lake Oroville, North Forebay, Lake Oroville State Recreation Area. A little breezy, a little misty out there. That's the drizzle that you're seeing. That's why we're seeing those wet roads out there. So give yourself a little bit of extra time this morning heading out to school, getting your kids out to school or heading out to work, because the roads may be a little wet in some areas, especially in the valley, and not to mention even parts of Trinity County. And so just be on the lookout for that. But that is going to do it for us this morning on Coffee with Krueger. We'll see you tomorrow morning, bright and early, 6:30 in the morning. Make sure you got that coffee brewing. I'm out of coffee this morning. I got to get some after the show ends here and get that next cup of coffee. In the meantime, I'll drink that water. Have yourselves a great day, everyone, and we'll see you tomorrow morning.